Oh, wow. Great. That was a great start, guys. Thankfully, Inter Miami won, so I don't need to do any of the intro again. But hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Drive Pink Dialogue. I'm your host, Saur, and this is the immediate raw reaction to the Inter Miami versus LA Galaxy 3-1 victory. That was fantastic. I enjoyed that. The first half was great. Inter Miami did exactly what we needed to do. And then the second half, it got a little bit difficult, a little squeaky bum time. Luhan doing exactly what he does, disappointing us as always. And then came in Messi. And he was like, you know what? Listen, you guys have had enough fun. We're not losing to bottom of the table LA Galaxy. I'm going to do my thing and I'm going to make sure we win all 3 points. And he just did what he does best. And then after that, he did it again. And then he put in a really beautiful pass for Suarez to get that final goal. After 12 games, this is the first time that Suarez has scored in open play. 3-1, fantastic game. I think there's a lot of good talking points from this game, but the first fact is that all four Barca boys were on the score sheet in one way or another. Messi with the goal and the assist, Luis Suarez with the goal, Alba with the goal, Sergio Busquets with the goal. All we needed was Rodrigo de Paul to get involved, but I think he got the pre-assist in that one. Anyways, as you can tell, I'm still recovering from that game, and I was on mute for the first 30 seconds, but we'll get started, guys. Get involved in the chat. Let me know what your thoughts were. We can talk about anything you want to talk about this game, about Inter Miami, but I will say it's good to finally get back to winning ways and get the 3 points. Let's get started with the chat. Devin says, thank God for Messi. Absolutely. Thank God for Messi. It was really interesting because I thought the first half, Inter Miami played it perfectly. Suarez was on fire. I know some of you probably already have that in the chat where I will have to compliment Suarez for his performance. But I thought he was great, especially in that first 45-minute period. Inter Miami seemed to be on top on every single metric that mattered. I think Galaxy had a little bit more possession, but Inter Miami was creating chances. Suarez hit the post. Telasco Segovia's goal called offsides. Jordi Alba was getting involved left, right, and center. And it looked like we had a game plan. We were sticking to it. Allende and Fafa Pico, I thought, were energetic and promising and were getting in good positions. But for me, the highlight was Suarez, Alba, and then Segovia. I thought Segovia had a very, very good game in the first 45 minutes. And then Sergio Busquets showing his true class with that beautiful pass. I didn't see that coming. And my first reaction was, what is Jordi Alba doing on that side? But I think he's just come off a corner from the Galaxy side. So glad that he was there and great finish by him first time. I thought as soon as Messi and Rodrigo de Paul came on halftime, first four, I don't think those subs were needed at the 45-minute mark. I know they were pre-planned because Javi Marciano probably wants to give them a little bit of a run out before the Tigres game on Wednesday. But I didn't think it was necessary to bring them on that early. I thought the game was going into Miami's favor. The game plan was working. Our mid block was handled fine by the defenders, but mostly going forward, we were doing very, very well. And then when Messi and Rodrigo de Paul came on, I was afraid that we were going to lose the control. And that's exactly what happened. I thought the gap between our midfield and defense started to grow a little bit more. Of course, Messi doesn't press the same way as someone like a Segovia, or I think it was Allende who also came off. So we lost a little bit of pace. And I think Galaxy got on top of that. They capitalized on it. And we saw what Painso was doing to Luhan and Cello all game. I felt really sorry for them, but thank God for Messi. Thank God he got us back into it. And what a beautiful goal as well. Some of the link-up play tonight was fantastic. Overall, very, very positive. I'm going to stop talking and let you guys guide the direction of this chat. Natalie says, well, if Telasco wasn't offside, I was right on 4-1. I was surprised they called it offside because it was very very close, and it was not clear and obvious by any means. So for me, I think it should have stood. And if it would have stood, that would have been a fantastic goal, because Suarez's assist would have been creme de la creme of what he's done this season for us. Everyone, I think, is saying thank God for Messi. Brad says, I like Fafa, but damn, he wasted his opportunity tonight. He tried today, though. He's just too fast for the Barca boys. Okay, so let's talk for a second about Fafa Pico. I thought he had a very positive game, largely speaking. I know there were moments where his decision making was a little bit off, and I wish he had made a certain choice of a pass or a run that he did not. But overall, broadly speaking, I thought he was very effective. And his running in behind in that first half was what was getting into Mami into the space. And I thought he was well worth his penny in that first half for sure. Second half, there was a little bit of a dip, but I agree with you. There's a disconnect between Suarez, Alba, Messi, and Fafa Pico, and perhaps the rest of our attackers, but mostly Fafa Pico. He gets berated on way too much, whether it's by Alba or whether it's by Suarez. I noticed that 3-4 times today. And I was very surprised, because I know they remonstrate a little bit when somebody doesn't pass the ball in the right direction or doesn't make that right run. But with Fafa Pico, it feels, I don't want to get too deep into this, because for all you know, it's just the competitive spirit of all of them. But it feels a little bit like bullying, and I don't like that. And I feel like if he was given more of a chance from the starting 11 instead of Allende, he would build that chemistry and he can be a lot more impactful. I thought overall he had a positive game. And I think Natalie agrees on this. I just wish Suarez wouldn't lash out at him like that. This is now a second game in a row where I've seen that happen. Octi says that he's fast but slow to make decisions and usually makes the wrong one. I could see why somebody would say that he made a wrong decision on an occasion or two, but I thought he was largely positive. I think there's a lot of discussion about just Fafa and Suarez, but let me know what you guys think. And maybe I'm overthinking about this and looking into this a little bit too much, but I do think there's a sense of disconnect with our front line when it comes to Fafa and the rest of the big superstars that we have. Baltazar Rodriguez is a huge talent, says Cynical. This kid's going to light the League's Cup and playoffs if he plays. I don't know. I'm still on the fence about Baltazar Rodriguez. By the way, that first touch that he had, straight shot, what a bullet. On target, if that had gone in, what a way to introduce yourself. But I need to see more. I think I'm just not seeing enough in the 20, 15-minute snippets and cameos that he's doing. But there seems to be some talent there for sure. He just needs to get in the starting 11 now somehow. Tunde says, was lovely watching Messi work himself into match fitness with the Tigres game on the horizon. Yeah, and I think that was the reason that he came on at halftime. If it was not tactical, it was pre-planned. It was to get Messi functioning again and getting used to the game rhythm again. And he took his time to get going, but as soon as he found that opportunity, it was a pinpoint shot into the corner. And the way it just curled out from outside the post to inside, it was beautiful to watch. And then that flick. I was going to say Sergio Busquets' assist to Jordi Alba was probably assist of the game, and then Messi did that. And I was like, wow. David says you have to be perfect if you're not one of the Barca boys or Messi friends, or else we will be shouted at like a little child. And that hurts the confidence of the team. A lot of comments about me being muted, but I think we fixed that now. Let me know if you guys can't hear me. But too bad about the offside, says Anton. Beautiful assist by Suarez. I thought Suarez was very good. I thought Suarez was positively involved in the first half. I thought he was taking up some really good positions in the second half. Him and Alba were really getting into their groove. I thought there was some beautiful interplay between Segovia, Suarez, and Alba, and it looked very positive for large parts. It sort of fell off in the second half, at least for the first 20, 30 minutes, but then Inter Miami started to build up again. I'll have to analyze the game to understand why the drop-off was, but I think we started to get a little bit more deep, and that didn't help at all. Um, Miami King says Messi seems still has a little bit of an issue. Well, if he has still an issue, but he's getting a goal and an assist, I think I'm fine with him playing at 80% capacity. By the way, he's, I think, now clear top of the Golden Boot. I think he has the most number of goals after. I forget. We'll have to check who's leading that line. But Messi just does Messi things, man. He's been scoring. He's been assisting every time he's there. He just shows up. And honestly, if he didn't get that goal, I was worried that LA Galaxy was going to either get a point or maybe even sneak out a win. But well done to Messi for uplifting the team. Janet says, how can the ref not check if the keeper took the ball with him past the goal line? I think they're wearing a watch, so that automatically goes off as soon as the ball goes past the line. I think they have goal line technology in the MLS as well, if I'm not mistaken. So they don't necessarily need to check. The watch just immediately goes off, but I'm not too sure about that. Messi didn't look 100% though, touched the leg. Yeah, I think he was still getting back into it. You could see for the first 20 minutes of that second half, he was just walking around, trying to pace himself. But as I said, he still got that goal. So if he's 80% capacity and if he's contributing like the way he does, I will 100% take that. It's disappointing to only win on Messi magic. Scotty harps on this endlessly. Yeah, and this is maybe something we can get into tomorrow during the post-game show. But I was thinking to myself as well when I was watching that, when I thought in the first half we were doing really well, and it felt like Inter Miami had an identity without Lionel Messi. And then as soon as the drop-off happened, we had to rely on that Messi magic. But I don't think it tells the full story of the game. It is an issue, and I think Javi Mascherano, unlike last season under Tata, has been unable to cultivate an identity for this team, an identity without Messi. And we used to have a clear idea of how we want to play with Messi and how we want to play without Messi. I think he's still discovering that with the latter side. But I don't know if he ever will, because whenever Messi is available, unless he, God forbid, gets ruled out for an extended period, Javier Mascherano will always have Messi to rely on. And that's really good to get the results, but I don't know how sustainable that is. Lynn says, I want to see more of Baltazar. He has fire. It's interesting. I've never actually watched Baltazar closely in the little cameos that he does. I don't see the impact that he brings, but it feels like everyone seems to really enjoy watching him play and is looking forward to him getting more involved in this team. So maybe I'll keep an eye out for that when I watch the game again next time around. Cello and Ruhan really struggled with Painso. What was that? What was that? Because there was at least 3 instances in that first half where Gonzalo Lujan does this daft thing where he often just steps up inexplicably, completely breaking up the defensive line and tries to one-on-one the attacker. And then he just gets past so easily. And he's just turning around before he even knows what's happened. Painsil's past him. And you're wondering to yourself, why did you do that? It's just so those little things where he puts himself in a difficult position and then the attacker just takes advantage of it. Now, listen, I think he did fine until the goal, because Painsil and Gabriel Peck are not easy to play against. They're very difficult, very tricky attackers, got a lot of pace. So Maxi Falcone, I thought, was a lot better, but Lujan and Cello were... they got caught and they got found out, and that's never fun. But I think we've all known that, and we all expected that. In the pregame show, we already mentioned that they were going to be an issue. Thankfully, we didn't have to worry about it because we've got brilliant attackers. Miami King says, Alba first goal from the right side ever. Yeah, I was really surprised to see him on that side of the pitch. Anton says, would have loved to see Frey in this game. Honestly, it would be so nice to see that Frey versus Painso setup. That would be so spicy because both of them are pacey. Both of them have that fire in them, and it would just, I think it would be a really good battle. I don't know if Frey gets the better of Paintsel, but I think it would be fun to watch. Cello overall had a couple of good moments in the game, but I thought after that goal that they conceded, which was very embarrassing, I gave up. And Tunde says, "How did Paintsel just walk?" Yeah, it was just he just waltzed it right past Cello Wigan, and I was like, okay, Luhan is there. And then Luhan he just turns around, he spins on the spot, and you're like, what are you even doing? Janet says, it seems Messi hamstring still bothering him. I think he'll be fine for the Tigres game. He was probably just feeling himself out to understand how much he needs to go tonight. And looks like, unfortunately, we need to rely on him to get the result. But I don't think he had to go to he didn't have to put in too much of an effort, which is fine. Cello and Luhan both cooked within 5 seconds in the same play. Yeah, that was the perfect representation of what's going wrong with Inter Miami. If you want to show a video or a snippet to somebody of why Inter Miami struggles so much defensively, show them that. The fact that two players were not able to defend against one at very close distances is just... Isaac says, "Can you guys stop calling them the Barca boys? The Miami players, they're Miami players now." Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just a moniker that we use because it's easy to just represent all four of them as the one because they all played in Barcelona. But I get your point. Lynn says, "Harsh offside." Yeah, I agree. And it was like quite earlier in the build-up play, so a little bit annoying. But that would have been a brilliant assist. Alba is better right winger than Allende. Should we talk about Allende for a little bit? I thought he was more involved in this game, but I don't think he was as effective as Fafa Pico was. He again got into some really good positions, was doing some good work in the forward line. But there were moments where he had like one or two poor touches. But I will say he wasn't as bad as his previous games. He obviously came off at halftime because the plan is for him to start against Tigres again. So, guys, I should just tell you that it might be that I'm by myself for the next week or two if Scotty decides that he's going to continue the Allende boycott. But the plan was for him and Segovia to just play 45 minutes, and I thought he did well. He was very involved in the final third, and even though we were building up a lot more from the left wing side and on the Fafa and the Alba side, I thought Allende had a good role in stretching the pitch out. Alba is so much more dangerous when he's allowed to go forward. And I mentioned this in the pregame show that because LA Galaxy loves to build from the right-hand side, they will push their left back forward. Alba, at least in that first half, was getting the entire pitch to himself in that final third. And he was very dangerous and he looked very good. I thought he had one of his better games today, and it was good to see. Pep says Suarez and Fafa need an enemy to lovers storyline because it's getting crunchy out there. It is, isn't it? I was thinking to myself, just put the two of them in a room together and let them figure it out because, boy, Fafa Pico was giving it back to Suarez as well. To the point that Suarez had to be like, okay, fine, don't get it started on the pitch. There's something there. There's some animosity or like issue there that I feel is only going to be resolved when Fafa Pico provides an assist to Luis Suarez and they both hug it out on the field. That'd be great to watch. Nick says Fafa blocked the Suarez goal. Suarez didn't even yell at him. He knows there's no point anymore. Yeah, maybe. Fafa is active, positive, but needs more quality and composure. And that only comes the more you play. The more you play, the more you build chemistry with everyone in and around you. That's the only way you actually get more composure, bring more quality. Fafa he's a veteran of this game. He's played in the MLS forever and he knows exactly what needs to be done, but he needs more minutes. And I don't think Allende has done enough for him to continue to play game in and game out. And Fafa Pico deserves more opportunities from the starting 11. Tunde says, what do you think in the Suarez assist? Was he trying to score like he did at Barca, or was that intended to be a pass? I'm guessing this is a reference to the goal that got called offside, because did he have an assist in the second? No. Did he have an assist in the third? He did not. He scored the third. So I'm guessing this is the offside one. I thought that was meant to be an assist. He knew that Segovia was there, and it would have been brilliant. Pep says that's got to be like the third time Fafa blocked a Suarez goal. It has happened a few times. It has happened. I feel like everyone is now trying to put out a UFC 371 Miami Suarez versus Fafa Pico. That'd be interesting. I'll be honest. I wouldn't bet against Suarez. We know him to be a little bit of a biter, so Fafa Pico is going to have to be careful. Anton makes a good point. No yellow cards. That's good. I think that was a very clean game from Inter Miami, apart from a couple of defensive errors and a few issues with pace and with physicality and athleticism. I thought the structure was good. Everyone was covering for one another. And even when Messi and RDP came on, it felt like we were sitting back a lot more than we should have. But the defensive structure stayed more or less compact up until that goal that LA Galaxy scored. Yeah, Fafa needs more time on the field, says Upcode, and I agree with that. Cynical says, we just got a glimpse of what the Fantastic Five are going to do. Maybe that's what we should start calling them, the Fantastic Five, the Inter Miami Fantastic Five. If all of them get on the score sheet and get in bold, we're not losing that game. Absolutely not. Lynn says, Suarez is very emotional in everything. You don't think he means anything. I hope not, but it's also not good to berate your teammates in front of millions of people watching. So, all right. What else are you guys saying? What else do you think about this game? I thought it was very positive. I think we should talk about, let me have a look at the other results, because I believe Philadelphia might have lost. Yes, Philadelphia lost. Well, New England we don't really care about. I want to see what Columbus's result was. I think Columbus either drew or lost as well. And that means this result was massive for Inter Miami, because now we have the opportunity to win our next 3 games in hand, and then we just frog leap every single one of the Eastern Conference teams. We are currently standing in 4th now, which is fantastic. This is in the Eastern Conference, and that's how important 3 points are. With Philadelphia dropping points, I think Cincinnati might be able to leapfrog them because they have a game in hand, but they'll only be able to get to 52. And then Inter Miami has 3 games on from there. So that's good for us. Very, very important. And I think in the grand scheme of things, and if Inter Miami wants to challenge for the Supporters' Shield, or at least finish in the top 4, this was an important game to win. You can't lose points against the bottom side. And for me, the fact that we were able to get the result here is going to be very important moving forward, because it just brings us that much closer to the top. Tunde says, watch out, Tigres. I think that should be a good game. Of course, that's on Wednesday. We still have a little bit of time to that. I hope Inter Miami continues to build on the momentum from here. This team has a lot of vulnerabilities and a lot of weaknesses, and we've seen that against some of the bigger teams. Against Vancouver, we saw that. Against Orlando, we've seen that twice. Against Cincinnati, we've seen that. But when we're functioning on all cylinders, when everything is clicking, forget about the defense. When everything is clicking in the midfield in the final third, when Suarez plays the way he does, when Segovia is linking up beautifully, when RDP is putting in some good balls, when Messi is doing GOAT things, there's no stopping this team. And I think if we can find a formula for us to continue this formation or this forward-thinking approach to games and not just sit back, absorb pressure, and play conservative, Inter Miami can go all the way in whatever tournament or playoffs they partake in. But there's vulnerabilities and weaknesses, and there will be teams that we come up against who will exploit those. And I hope Tigres is not one of those. Anonymous says Jordy should play striker. He's good at finishing. Yes. Jordy has a fantastic finish on him. He also had another audacious try from, I think, a corner. But yeah. Josu says it's fresh to see Saur speak his mind without Scotty stopping him or changing his thoughts. That's just how we function. We bounce off ideas off each other really well. But sometimes I get the opportunity to just get on the mic and talk whatever I want to talk about. There's nobody to stop me here except you guys. So I'm glad I sometimes get the opportunity to do this by myself, and I hope everyone likes to listen to us. But I think we're a dynamic duo. There's no drive pink dialogue without Scotty or Saul. Anton says Tigres has to play America this weekend. Not an easy game. Hopefully, Tigres are winded by Wednesday. Listen, Inter Miami was able to change things around, rest some of their players, and despite that, we got the result. We'll see what Tigres does, but it doesn't really matter, does it? We go up against them, we beat them. That's the plan, and hopefully we'll do that. Curious to see Baltazar Rodriguez work his way into more minutes. Would like to see him replace Allende in a game. I agree. I think it'll be, as long as he's fit, I don't think there's any reason that Allende should continue to start game in and game out. Whether you replace him with Fafa Pico, whether you replace him with Baltazar, whether you replace him with Kramaski, I think there's a case to be made that Allende needs to be a bench player for the foreseeable future. 2, 3, 5 games. He doesn't contribute as much. His first touch has been terrible, and he's short of confidence. There were a couple of moments in that game as well where he just let the ball go under his feet, and then he looked around, where's the ball, and finally got on it. Thankfully, he didn't turn it over. But yeah, a lot of thoughts about Rodriguez should start over Allende. Guys, keep them coming in the chat. I see a lot of chats out there. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing the after party tonight, but hopefully I'll try and stick around for as long as possible so that we can get through all your comments. So keep your thoughts rolling. We'll keep going. Nick says, I know Scotty means well, but he does always interrupt now. We don't tolerate any Scotty slander while he's not here. When he's here, we tolerate all Scotty slander. Segura says, we're cooked for Leagues Cup. Messi still hurt, and without him, I don't think we win. I don't know if Messi's hurt, or whether he was just trying to get himself back into game rhythm. He does this thing sometimes where he just tests things around, tests the surface, tests his muscles, sees if he's able to do the running. And the goal that he scored it didn't feel like he was suffering anything. I hope he didn't aggravate anything in that game, because a hamstring is sensitive, especially when you're coming back from it that quickly. So he didn't necessarily pull it completely, but it was just like enough for him to be out for 2 weeks. And that's, I think, a dangerous place to be, because then you just have to test it a little bit before you know how comfortable you are playing on it. So we'll see. I hope he's available, but here's the thing, right? This team is a lot more than Messi. Of course, I say that in a game where Messi basically bailed us out, but this team is a lot more than Messi. So if he's not available, if he's not fit to start, we still need to win. We're in a tournament. We've been promised by the front office that they want to go out, they want to win every single trophy that we can compete for, and the ambitions are there. And if Messi is not available, that's a huge loss, absolutely. But that doesn't change the expectations. This team is very deep, very talented, and they should be able to go out and win against Tigres if Messi is not there. That being said, Messi being there is 100% our weapon. We can't do without him. So we need to find a way to win without him when he's not available. But thank God he is available most of the times. Natalie says we're just 6 behind Philadelphia. Are we? Are we just 6 or... Yeah, we've leapfrogged Columbus. We're now in 4th with 45, and Philadelphia's in 51. So good for us. We're getting closer, climbing the ladder, and that's what matters, right? In these moments, you just have to chip away at these games and get the result. And hopefully we can maybe secure another supporter shield. Pep says, I don't want to see Cello, Lujan both on the right side ever again. I'll be honest with you. If we sign a new defender, I know it's Gonzalo Piovi, I believe. If we sign him, I still think the starting centre back partnership is going to be Gonzalo Piovi and Gonzalo Lujan. We're going to get the Gonzalo duos. That terrifies me. Not because of the player that we're signing, but the player that we signed last window, because of the Lujan. He's here to stay and he will start, and he is the preferred centre back. And that's a problem. On that side, Cello is the preferred right back, and that's a problem. And we can't fix that. We just have to deal with it. But it will be a problem for Inter Miami when they go up against a team that can exploit those vulnerabilities. The Galaxy could have done that tonight, but thankfully they decided to play Spain so centrally in the first half, so they didn't have too many chances for him to run at both of them. And then in the second half, when Painso moved on that side, he just completely destroyed the two of them together at the same time. And I was like, this is going to end up costing us points. Vasquez says, Miami fortunate today. Philadelphia lost and Columbus tied. Hoping for an Orlando loss, and Cincy lost later tonight. Yeah, we just got to keep doing our thing. And hopefully we can get a few favorable results across the league. Pep says, I mean, if Mascherano would get his head out of his butt and give Toto another chance. Honestly, Toto and Noah Allen are the two. They, for me, are the starting centre-backs. They should be the starting centre-backs, and that's what will uplift this team to a different level. I think if you have two proactive young centre-backs who can be pacey, who can compete, who can, even if they get beat, can still track back and cover, that's going to change everything for this team. And we'll be able to push up a lot more. Even with Messi on the pitch, who doesn't necessarily get involved in defense, it will allow us to push up a little bit more, because then you have pacey defenders who can retreat and who can track back if needed. Case in point, actually, Ian Frey, in that last game against, I don't know, and it wasn't Orlando, it was the game before that. He went up against a player who burned him for pace. But Ian Frey made sure he got back just in time to make a tackle and make sure they don't get a shot on target. And that's what you get with Noah Allen. That's what you get with Toto Aviles. And it baffles me why they're not Allen, maybe he's kind of shoved his way into the starting 11 by virtue of being that good. But Toto Aviles always tends to give Javier Mascherano an excuse not to start him. And that for me is a disservice. Nolan says, can't believe Bussy already has 97 appearances for Miami. Yeah. I mean, there's not that many players who've crossed 100. I don't think there's any players left who've crossed. Kromaski is the only one who's still at Inter Miami who's crossed 100 appearances. And Bussy's going to pass him soon enough. Pep says, put some respect on Bussy's name. He's so good. Just so good. You give him the right tools around him and he's unstoppable. That pass to Jordi Alba, it was so accurate, and all of those words that you want to describe for a Busquets pass, but the fact that he makes it happen every single time. The weight on the pass, straight into Alba's feet, the cutting through two defenders, basically just completely threading the needle. It's just brilliant. Tunde asks, who do you think starts on Wednesday, Frey or Cello? With Cello's performance today, do you think Mascherano will be moved? I think Cello is going to start the next 3 or 4 games. I think Javier Mascherano gave Ian Frey an opportunity for 2 games so that he could rest Cello Wigan. And then now he's going to go back to his preferred right back. That's not what I would do, but that's my intuition of what Javier Mascherano is going to do. Masood says, Ustari was not good. He should have stopped that shot 2 games in a row. Actually, that's a great point. Because we've flamed Ustari, we flamed Lujan, and we flamed Cello for basically not being able to defend that goal. Ustari lets in another easy goal on his, I think it was on his near post. And the angle is so acute. You have to close it down. And you're seeing the player just run at your defenders. You need to be in a better position to close that. I'll have to rewatch it, but I agree with Masood's comment here that On first watch, I thought Ustari was just as culpable for that goal. But I don't want to start the Ustari debate again, where he's gonna start. And I think the commentators mentioned during the game that Javi Marciano doesn't like to treat his goalkeepers as one starting in the cup and one starting in the league. And I have a feeling that Ustari is going to start in the cup against Tigres as well on Wednesday. Anton said when Bright came in, RDP moved up and the offense came alive. Yeah, that's what a number 6 does for you. The pure number 6 in Yannick Bright just completely opens up everything because it allows you to push the entire team up the field, and it allows you to protect your back line without your front players worrying about defending. And that, I think, is why Bright is such a valuable player to this team. All right, guys, what else are we thinking? Let me go through some of these other comments. Joe says if Pioli comes, maybe their POV comes, maybe they pair him on the right with Falcone on the left. Yeah, but Pioli is actually a left centre back. He's a left-footed centre back, so I would expect him to be coming in as a Allen replacement. Or Falcone replacement because Falcone played on that side. But it gives you the option of having Lujan and Falcone as the right centre back partnership, and then as the right centre back options, and then Allen and POV as the left centre back options. Don't be surprised if Toto Aviles leaves this window. Nick thinks he's going to actually start Frey on Wednesday, but we shall see. I would for sure prefer Frey to be the starter, but we'll see. Natalia said, did you guys think Kramaski proved his point tonight? I thought he was good. I thought he was very good in that first half. He had a couple of really good runs in that he made late into the box, had a shot or two at the goal. And as soon as I say that, I read the two comments after that. Pep and Nick both say, no, he did not. Pep says, I'm sorry, but if he really thinks his level has nothing to do with his lack of minutes, he's never going to improve. I think that's a reference to Benjamin Kramaski, but I can't be too sure. I thought he was fine, but I'll have to rewatch to see how impactful he was. You have to remember there's only as much impact as a player can have. And I don't know if Benjamin Kramaski did enough tonight, but I'll rewatch and come back to that question for sure. Ash says, will Marsh have a situation at the end of the season that forces him to leave? I think that is a reference to Tata Martino's situation that forced him to leave. Listen, if Inter Miami fails to get far in the Leagues Cup or even win the Leagues Cup, if Inter Miami doesn't win the Supporters' Shield, which is not a guarantee because the East is absolutely stacked, and if Inter Miami doesn't win the MLS Cup, then I don't see any reason for Javi Marciano to stick around because they would have failed in every single checklist item that Inter Miami set for themselves. If he wins the Leagues Cup, I still don't think that's enough, but it might be a case to be made that maybe we keep him for another season. But he has to win trophies, otherwise he's out the window, and rightfully so. We'll see. Our closest chance is the Leagues Cup, and that starts on Wednesday. It's knockout, so you have to show up. You don't have a second choice. You won't be able to rely on other teams to get a result. You have to show up. You have to win against Tigres and hopefully progress on to the next round. We have a good chance. There's a potential opportunity for us to go up against Orlando in the Leagues Cup. If that happens, I'm going to be very nervous. And I'll be honest, I don't think we win that game because Orlando seems to have our number. But I guess we take it one game at a time. And hopefully, Javi Marciano can pull a rabbit out of the hat and win us at least 2 cups, if nothing, I guess. Anyways, guys, I think that's about it. Oh, wait. Tunde brings in some difficult news. Reports that Messi might have left the field injured today. Marsh said they would check him tomorrow. You guys might be right then. If he was feeling his leg, if he didn't feel up to full fitness, then they may have brought him back a little bit too early. I really hope that's not the case because I do not trust this team to go out on Wednesday without Messi and win against Tigres. That just complicates things a lot more, but we'll see. Anyways, I think we're going to call it there for tonight, guys. I have mostly run through all your comments, but feel free to drop a few more. We are going to be back tomorrow for the post game show. Hopefully tomorrow evening. Still not confirmed. I don't think Scotty's going to be back, but I may be able to pull some strings and bring on a very special guest. So, guys, I will see you all tomorrow for the post-game analysis where we're going to break down the game. We're going to give some awards and we're going to talk tactics and everything under the sun. But until then, I hope you guys have a fantastic evening and I hope you guys bask in the glory of Inter Miami finally getting the 3 points. Until next time.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Since our first viewer, sharing this with you all has been the very best part. So from the beginning until the end, thank you for being a part of this and have a wonderful day.